All right, you guys, we're going to get started here in just a minute, less than a minute. We're talking a few seconds, actually. Woo! If you are here, please like, subscribe, say what's up, whether it's YouTube, LinkedIn, you name it. And let's bring the music to a close with my opening. Boom! And it's that time. Hello, everybody. My name is Robert Ferguson. I am a nutritionist. I'm a guy who shares because I care. And today we're going to talk about something that needs to be talked about. Now, before I dive in, if you have not noticed, if you are fully aware, and for those of you who don't know who Oprah Winfrey is, she is an icon, if you will. She's very famous. She's very wealthy. She's done a lot of great things. And so let me just say up front, this is not about knocking Oprah, but I am going to knock some behavior. And I'm going to share something with you that not only will bring clarity to where I believe Oprah is misleading and wrongfully influencing people when it comes to these weight loss drugs. And if you feel I'm wrong, I'm open, because my goal is really to share because I care. And I'm seeing so many people fall prey to the negatives that come with this drug. At the same time, I'm seeing this drug or these drugs, and I'm talking about Ozempic, Wegovy, Trulicity, Mounjaro, and the list goes on and on. There's a whole bunch of other ones coming out. Some people are getting access to it for their type 2 diabetes. Some people aren't. But there's a lot of people, and I have had some celebrity clients that I used to coach who have come back to me because their eyes are open and they are fully aware. And unfortunately, when it comes to Oprah Winfrey, she first came out the gate saying she wouldn't do the drugs. That's not how she lost all her weight. It was all about lifestyle. And now, allegedly, I'm reading it through all the magazines. I have not heard her personally say it out loud, but it looks like she's using it. She doesn't mention which drug, but she's using it however it best helps her. Now, I have my opinion on why she's not mentioning the name of the drug that she may be using or may not. But there's a whole bunch we need to touch on. We're going to touch on this thing called Dunning-Kruger effect. I want you to remember this. The Dunning-Kruger effect. In short, that's cognitive bias. Cognitive bias. One more time. Cognitive bias. And what is that? That is people who believe they are smarter and more capable than what they truly are. And I'm sure you know people like this. And there's areas in my life where I have fallen prey to cognitive bias. I may have thought at one point that I was an amazing chef or I could cook until I was with someone who really has the skills and knowledge. Before I realized I was just ignorant. Another way to refer to this would be ignorance is bliss. For instance, Charles Darwin wrote this book called The Descent of Man. And in that book, there's a quote from him where he says, ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge. So ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge. So there's a lot of people who think they know certain things, especially in nutrition. I see this a lot. They walk around like they really get it. They understand it. They've watched one documentary. They read one book. They went to one seminar, and they really believe that they know. And they can't wait to tell everybody else. And they feel like, what am I going to listen to Robert Ferguson for? I already know how to eat. I already understand nutrition. I already got it. Ignorance. They don't know what they don't know. And in my opinion, this is something that has happened to Oprah Winfrey. And it happens to quite a few people. People are rushing to get on this drug, and sometimes what happens is they'll get on the drug because they heard some celebrity has done it, because there's a lot of people that look up to celebrities, and there's quite a few people that won't share what I'm about to share with you about my view on Oprah and these weight loss drugs and how it's hurting society. A lot of people won't talk about it because they don't want to upset Oprah. They don't want it to get back to Oprah because maybe they have hopes and dreams to have a relationship with Oprah or to do some work with Oprah. That's when people get compromised. Cognitive bias is when you don't know that you don't know. You may have husbands who are type 2 diabetics, and you say, hey, you know what, you should get with Robert. You know, he's helped a lot of people reverse their diabetes. They go, no, I read this thing, or I saw this video, or I read this book, or, you know, my friend was telling me, and then that becomes their knowledge, and they become somewhat delusional. Cognitive bias is real, and I'm going to walk you through it. Now, as you see the carrot over Oprah's head, Oprah has been wanting to lose weight and has lost weight and gained it back over the years. And she acknowledges this. I totally get why she don't want to mention a drug. She just don't want to be a part of it. She wants to live the rest of her life and make it her best life. And looking at her on the outside, I think she looks amazing based on where she's been and the challenges that she's had. So again, I'm not knocking her for that. I'm knocking her for being in the position that she's in and influencing people, even without words, to take some drug that even their doctors are uninformed about. Because the damage that these drugs are doing to people are going into depression. People are experiencing major gastrointestinal problems. There's all these side effects that people won't tell you about. They don't want to eat. You're not hungry. That's why if you read between the lines, you can hear Oprah basically saying, I'm going to use it when I need it. Because now I'm at a certain goal, weight. I feel really good where I'm at. I'm exercising my butt off. And if I start to get out of control and I start to eat more, then I'm gonna take the shot. Not knowing what the damage is 3, 4, 5 years down the road. She don't know what she don't know. Now, to Oprah's credit, if I was coaching her and she did take the drug, Oprah has always been known for exercising. We've seen Oprah running, I think doing half marathons. I mean, working her butt off. She totally is not afraid of working out. She's been doing it and hitting it hard. She knows how to hit it hard. And even recently, as I read excerpts of interviews with her, when they talked about her looking amazing and fabulous and all that, she keeps pushing the reality that she works her butt off. She hikes, she works out, she does the work. That is the one thing that I would have recommended to her. If Oprah was my client and she says, okay, Robert, I'm going to take this drug. Now, after me explaining to her that, we don't know what the effects are going to be in 3 years, 5 years. We don't know about cancer. We don't know about all of these other negatives. But if you're going to take this drug, at least work out and work out hard. That would be number one. Anyone who's not working out, what happens is you're more inclined to lose skeletal muscle. And if you lose skeletal muscle, which most of you who are taking this drug, that is the weight you're losing. You are shortening your longevity. Scientifically, the data is clear. You are putting yourself in a position, if you did find yourself diagnosed with cancer, your survival rate has been reduced. If you're losing that much skeletal muscle, you increase your risk for a heart attack by 300%. Confirmed study, not my opinion. We know this to be true. And the majority of the weight people are losing on the drug, they're all excited on the scale. Cognitive bias, they don't know what they don't know. They really believe that they're doing well and the weight is coming off. That's all they know. And they will fight you and argue with you. Cognitive bias. Cognitive bias can show up in a lot of ways. I have people who become certified coaches and they teach our diet-free life methodology. Some people won't become a coach because of cognitive bias. In their mind, they believe that it's going to take years before they can become a nutritionist until they work with us. Because once you become a coach with us, you don't need to know what I know. You don't need to break down every molecule in the body and explain the details of it. You're teaching a methodology that is evidence-based and clinically proven. So don't allow cognitive bias to block you from becoming a coach and helping others. We've done the work. We have the curriculum. So let's get into it. And let me preface also by sharing this with you. This is a biblical scripture I'm pulling from, Luke 12:48. And I'm bringing it up because Oprah talks about this a lot. I've heard her mention this a lot. To whom much is given, much is required. Who has heard Oprah say that? To much is given, much is required. And this is why I have smoke with Oprah. Too much is given. You got money. You have a platform. You have people's attention. They look up to you. You got everybody's attention. And then you put it out there and support this drug that is setting people up for who knows what type of health hardships. And again, some of you won't even hear what I'm saying. Some of you will take what I'm sharing, or maybe look at some of my other videos where I talk about the drug and the damage that it does. And guess what? You'll share that with someone who's taking the drug. They won't hear you. They don't know what they don't know. That's why we're talking about the Dunning-Kruger effect, cognitive bias. That is people who believe they are smarter and more capable than others. So let's walk through it. Just a couple things, two more things. And I'm going to read this because I don't want to mess it up. And this is under some of the definition and understanding around cognitive bias. It says it affects can have a profound impact on what people believe, the decisions that they make, and the actions that they take. Some of you really think you know about nutrition, and you ain't willing to listen to nobody else. You're not open to anything. When I was doing a presentation the other day to a bunch of physicians who know a lot, they're very knowledgeable, and I love learning from them. But I brought up insulin and took a deep dive in it, and they were all humble, all of these doctors, and they were thankful because I brought clarity to it, and everything I shared was evidence-based, so I gave them access to all the citations. And one thing that came up when we had this great conversation, and this, I want you guys to hear this because I'm going to do a bigger, longer explanation of this later. But insulin is a hormone. And we live in a world where most of diseases and the way people, their lifestyles unfold and how they eat, etc., is based on their glucose response. We're talking about sugar. Everybody's looking at sugar, right? And you believe you understand it. You're like, I get it. It's all about sugar. But what I shared with those physicians was that sugar is important to be aware of. But there's something that's more important, and it's the hormone insulin. So I shared with them a study in 1998 where they worked, the study was framed around all these men. It was all men in the ages in the 50 plus years old. And this study went on for 22 years. 22 years. And they were looking at heart disease, and they wanted to get an idea of, who's more likely to have a heart attack and what are some things maybe we don't know, right? And that's why you do studies and research. And what they learned, okay, these researchers over 22 years is that the person who had elevated insulin, hyperinsulinemia, were more likely to have a heart attack or die from heart disease than someone who had low levels of insulin. Not glucose, not sugar. The number one cause of death in America and the world is heart disease. And what this study demonstrates conclusively, in my opinion, that when you have elevated insulin, you have increased risk of heart disease. So the cause of death, the number one cause of death is not heart disease. The CDC, they totally got it wrong. It's insulin that's elevated. It's hyperinsulinemia. That's the cause of heart disease, or it's definitely a prominent cause of heart disease. Think about that. Okay. One last thing, and then I'll bring it home. And then if you guys have any questions, bring it my way. But remember, Oprah is always quoting, to whom much is given, much is required. Unfortunately, in the areas of health, the people around Oprah, they may know a lot, and I'm sure some of them are really skilled, and they may be falling prey to cognitive bias, because Oprah has definitely fallen prey to it. And that's sad. So we're talking about incompetence in certain areas, right? Because when you are just in your own belief world that you understand things a certain way, then you're going to preach that and you're going to defend that. Very similar to confirmation bias, right? Confirmation bias is when you have a preconceived truth, which ties into cognitive bias, right? Like I'll give you a political example. President Trump, former President Trump, was accused of Russian collusion. And there are people who saw that on TV, and they're hearing it for the first time, that he was acquitted of that, and that never happened. It never happened. And some people go, "Oh, well, I was willing to listen to Robert, but he's going to say that." No, look it up. Become informed. Because if you're not informed, you're still walking around thinking he was tied in with the Russians. There's a lot of misinformation out there. In the world of weight loss and nutrition, we know what we know, the people in the field. And sometimes as an expert, I'll meet someone and I'll learn something that I didn't know, which has been great. That's been happening, but that's what I do. There's things about being a teacher or being a nurse. I can't even come close. And just because I watch a documentary on what a nurse is and how it works, doesn't mean I'm an expert at it. If I wanted to become really good at it, then I would keep wanting to learn. I will keep reading different books. I would look at a variety of things. I would stay up to date, which is what I do. So we're talking about incompetence. And that's not being mean. So people who are incompetent tend to do three things. All right, this is good. Actually, before I share these three things, let me just say hi to you guys. I appreciate you. I just dived right in. I thought I was going to go a little bit slower and actually enjoy my tea, but it's in my heart, you guys. It is really bothering me looking at all of this stuff. Okay, so let me see who's talking. Someone in our private Facebook group says, "Now I know why you said this is going to be a good one." All right. I'm not sure who that is, but whoever that is, I'm glad you are here. Someone else said the Dunning-Kruger effect. Yes, the Dunning-Kruger effect. Thank you. Let's see here. We got Deb Phillips is in the house. What's up, Debbie? She says, "I am here, but I will listen to the replay. Very sketchy service where she's at." Okay, you can catch the replay. Someone else says, "Hi, I've been following you for years." Well, thank you for following me. I really appreciate that, and I take that seriously. And that's why I got to just make sure I do the best I can before I start sharing stuff. Let me see here. Amen. Share because you care. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. If you guys have any questions about what I'm about to share right now, and you may even have people that you know that this will relate to. Okay. This is what incompetent people tend to do. Three key things. Number one, overestimate their skills. Overestimate their skills. So again, you meet someone who's done keto, they believe in keto, they think keto is everything. They have no idea about the Diet for Your Life methodology. They have no idea how successful people are, and they still eat bread and pasta and a lot of foods that those people will say you can't eat because they have cognitive bias. They don't know what they don't know. Because how is it that I could have clients, many of you are here live, catching me live or catching the replay, you have lived it out. You have been successful. You have lost weight eating food. The person who does fasting, they're like, "Hey, fasting is the way to go. If you really want to lose weight, you got to do fasting." That's cognitive bias. They are not aware of what we are aware of. And that's why I'm not mad at them. I'm not putting them down. I just realized that they have cognitive bias. They don't know what they don't know. And as many presentations as I put on, I always walk in knowing that what I'm about to share about the Diet for Life methodology and how we help people with nutrition, I realize they don't know what I'm about to share with them. And I have to build it, because when people have a preconceived belief, confirmation bias, when people are there, you got to break down those walls and get them to open up and welcome something different than what they already knew. Doctors are the exact same way. I'm telling you, man, this is some good stuff. A lot of women, and many of the studies that was done with these gentlemen who came up with this Dunning and Kruger, it was really clear that women are less likely to fall prey to the Dunning-Kruger effect compared to men. That's why I love coaching guys, because they're open-minded. They're willing to learn. They're willing to like give something else an opportunity. They're willing to expand their horizons. So any man that I coach, I take my hat off to you. I really do. The women I coach, when I'm coaching them, they get it because I have time to spend with them, right? And to shift their paradigm, get them to look at things a little different. Oprah doesn't have that. So she's just going with what she thinks she knows. If you put me on the phone with Oprah, with her fitness trainer, her nutritionist, whoever she's working with, and you give us an hour, I guarantee you she would not be taking that drug. I would bet everything on that. And there would be no rhyme or reason for her to take the drug. And if we made it public, no one would take the drug after they watch us have that conversation. But people don't do that. Most people stick with their like-minded type of people. And if I have knowledge that her nutritionist and the people around here don't, and they've already confirmed what she's doing is okay, think about that. They don't want me to meet Oprah. Absolutely not. That's the reality that we're talking about, you guys. All right. Second thing that these people do is they fail to recognize the genuine skill and expertise of other people. So I've said that in a different way. People who fall prey to this, they have a hard time recognizing the skill and knowledge and abilities of other people because they want to be right. They want to be right, and they will fight for that. That's why, like recently when I was at home with my family, my mom set it up. I was given the opportunity to start coaching some of my family members after doing this for 28 years. Oh, I'm ecstatic about it. But some of the people who said they wanted to be a part of it, specifically the men, they didn't come to the meetings. That's a lack. I'm not going to say it's a lack of humility. Well, kind of it is. I'm not going to say it's ego that drives them out. What I am saying is that they have cognitive bias. They want to believe that they already know. And the third thing is to fail to recognize their own mistakes and lack of skill. They don't want to recognize the mistakes they've made and their lack of skill. Many of you who have been my client and you've done all these diets over the years, I'm very clear to say, hey, look, I think you're doing just fine. All of those diets and all of those things you call a mistake in the past are practice for what we're doing now, because this is a lifestyle. To whom much is given, much is required. So, Oprah, a lot has been given to you. You don't even live far from me. We have common friends. And many of them have been wanting me to meet you for years. And I have met you, but I'm talking about meet, maybe work with you. But I'm not going to not tell the truth. People, don't take these drugs. The carrot is being dangled in front of you. Oprah has lost weight before and gained it back. Lost weight before and gained it back. And many of those programs, people jumped on board, and then all those people came to the conclusion that it didn't work for them. What makes you think this time is going to be different? Now, I don't want Oprah to gain the weight back. I want her to get off of that drug and to work her butt off and establish a lifestyle where she don't need a drug. And if any of you are taking the drug, or you know people taking the drug, just make sure you're exercising. And God, let's pray that in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you are not one of those people who falls prey to the negatives. I'm Robert Ferguson. Thank you. I appreciate you. And let's keep it moving. Until the next one. God bless.